I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Yay Networks.
I'm Molly Kimball. Welcome to Fueled, a wellness and nutrition podcast. I'm a registered dietitian and nutrition journalist with a passion to help people live their strongest, healthiest life possible. In my weekly TV segments and columns, there's a limited amount of time and space to cover everything, but there's so much more to share. This podcast is my opportunity to dive deeper into the topics you want to know about. This episode is about 6 rituals. You may want to call them habits or routines or strategies, but 6 rituals that will truly help to reduce our feelings of stress and also boost our well-being, not only during the holidays that are coming up, but at all times throughout the year. And we're talking about 6, but when I first started thinking about this podcast, it started out as 3 morning rituals to boost our well-being. But then I started thinking, it's hard to ask us to be on our A game and have everything together and really start our mornings off on a good foot when our evenings are less than optimal. So if we're not having all these things in place and at night, and if we're waking up feeling behind the 8 ball, it's hard to get those even three new things in place. So we're going to start out by talking about 3 evening rituals, followed by 3 morning habits that we can easily start incorporating truly, really all of these today. And so 3 evening, 3 morning that we can add in these new rituals, these new habits, behaviors to help manage stress, enhance our overall well-being. Because as we're heading into the holidays, we're all already probably starting to feel it. These holidays, they look and feel vastly different. Our obligations, our time commitments, how we're celebrating with family, all of this looks very different. But it's still, the reality is, it's the end of the year. There's end of the year deadlines and reports and all this that need to be submitted for work or other organizations. There's things that we're doing, no matter how different it may look this year, we're still doing some level of, whether it's holiday celebration or gifts that we're putting together, whatever it is, we all kind of have that last minute to-do list, and it can leave us feeling really frazzled, spread really thin. We may have worked really hard to get this sense of balance, and it feels like it's starting to unravel right now. So more than ever, it's important in these coming weeks to truly prioritize our wellness and focus on nurturing ourselves with the self-care that we need. Before we get started, I do want to let y'all know that the next 2 weeks, so the week of Christmas, the week of New Year's, our Fueled Wellness and Nutrition podcast will also be on vacation. So we'll be picking back up the week of January 4th. So that podcast will drop Thursday, January 7th. We've got a whole slew of things through January into February about really being proactive in wellness that I'm excited for you guys to hear. We'll be talking about anti-aging strategies, acupuncture, DNA diets, all kinds of stuff. We'll also be talking king cake because, of course, here in New Orleans, Carnival's picking up. That looks different as well, but we'll be talking about that in January also. So some fun behind the scenes stories for y'all. But I did want to let you know that we will be taking vacation for Fueled Wellness and Nutrition podcast the weeks of Christmas and New Year's, and we'll be picking back up Thursday, January 7th. Also, as we're talking about this particular topic of incorporating these rituals, AM and PM, that's going to really help boost our well-being, wanted to remind y'all, if you haven't heard it, tune in. We did a podcast several weeks ago about choosing joy and specific strategies to de-stress over the holiday season. And I was joined in that podcast by Dr. David Galarno. He is a psychiatrist with Oxnard Health, and he focuses a lot on specifically behavior change. And so we talked a lot about, it's our mindset as we're going into the holidays and always, but our mindset of, as I shared on the podcast, I specifically made a decision not to use the phrase "I'm so stressed" or "I'm so busy," because we all feel that way, and all it does is kind of heighten that feeling. So I would really encourage you, if you're interested in this topic, scroll back. It was around the third week of November, and actually I can link to it as well, but choose joy strategies to de-stress. So that was kind of an overarching look at our attitudes going into holiday season. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about specific steps, specific rituals to add morning and night that can boost our well-being. So starting with evenings, it's all about, okay, what can we do to set ourselves up for success when it comes to sleep? Because we know that sleep is key in our mood. It's key in our energy, our ability to focus, our ability to be creative, and just all things center around sleep. When we're looking at our health, at our weight, we think diet, exercise, but sleep is that really essential third element. I'll also link to some recent podcasts we did, a 2-parter with a sleep scientist. And so fascinating information. So the three things I'm going to be talking about doing in the evening, really the ultimate goal is we want to enhance and maximize our sleep. So what interferes with our sleep? There's a lot that can interfere with our sleep. So for starters, I would say early in the evening, one of the things that I do as I'm kind of transitioning from work mode to evening, kind of that relaxing time, is I'll kind of get my to-do list together. And I'm a pen and paper person for that to-do list. But it is, if, throughout the day, we've made notes. We've kind of got all these things that have been adding up and piling on through the day. So at the end of my day, and sometimes it's closer to 5 or 6 p.m., sometimes it might be 9 or 10 p.m., but I'm going to go through that list. I'm going to see, what do I need to do tomorrow? What are the things that are must-dos? And I'll try to specifically note, here's the 3 things that I either need to get done tomorrow, or here's the 3 things that I'm planning to get done tomorrow. But that list, we may have 20 things on our to-do list. Some of them are just going to be simple tasky things that we can quickly do and knock out. Some of them are bigger projects. So if you do have something that's a little bit bigger scope on that to-do list, what's the top 1, 2, or 3 things tomorrow that you're going to prioritize? So I'll do that. I'll prioritize what that to-do list is. I'll go through and I'll see, what did I do that I can scratch off the list, or what's going to be really fast that I could just do right now and it takes off of tomorrow. But by doing that, and I'll often end up completely rewriting that list and doing a fresh one. If you're a digital person, you can do the same thing that way. But what it's doing is it's already starting to clear that brain space for me. It's really kind of a version of a brain dump, letting go of the concerns from the day, letting go of the issues, that ongoing task to-do list that we have. So starting that's the first thing that I do. Ideally, not right before bedtime, ideally kind of as you're transitioning from work into that home evening time. But take that to-do list, streamline it, prioritize for tomorrow. So the number one thing that I would say, or the first thing that I would say is a habit that we can start doing for the evening, is look ahead to tomorrow. What are the top 1, 2, or 3 things that we must do, need to do, want to do? And then what are the things that if we had time to do them, that's great. But that starts to already give us a little bit of clarity about tomorrow. What it also helps is that we're not sorting all that out in our brains while we're sleeping. We've already started to do that sort out process, that filtering process. So throughout the day, we're getting so much that's absorbed into our heads. Our brains are truly trying to digest it and make sense of it and kind of categorize it while we sleep. So doing this, kind of brain dumping that to-do list at the end of our day, starts to help with that process. And it makes it easier for us to let go of that day. So that's number one. If you've got all this clutter that you've accumulated through the day, streamline it, get your game plan ready for tomorrow. Number 2, this is a really big one. And this is probably the biggest life changer for me when it comes to getting better sleep, getting quality sleep. Sleep with your phone charging in a different room away from you. And we want to, of course, try to separate from all electronics at least 30 minutes, if not more, before we turn off the light. But the thing about our phones we are often using that phone as our alarm. But what happens, and we're using it as our clock, what happens at night if you wake up in the night, you reach for your phone to see what time it is, and you saw that a text message came through or some sort of alert or notification? It can be real tempting to click on it and see what it is. It doesn't matter. At 2 o'clock in the morning, there are very few things coming through our phones that we actually need to be alerted of. You can set your phone on different kinds of privacy settings so that if there's certain, whether it's kids, parents, whatever, spouses, if that call or text comes through, we need to have it alert us. That's fine. We can adjust our privacy settings. But put sleeping with it in the other room. Doesn't have to be far. It just needs to be away from your nightstand. Our entire lives are on our phones. So whether we're seeing that alert, that notification, if we wake up and we can't sleep, a lot of times instead of maybe reading something or sitting there and just kind of falling back asleep, if we pick up our phone, I'm just going to scroll through this for a few minutes because I can't sleep. The light of our phone is so stimulating, the content in our phone is so stimulating that it is very, very, very tempting to have that phone by our bed. Our entire lives are on that phone. There's so many distractions on that phone. So the biggest thing I can say is sleep with your phone in a separate room. Put the charging station in a separate room. For us, our bathroom is right behind our bedroom. And so it's probably only 5 feet from me, but it's on the other side of the wall and I can't reach it. I would have to get up, walk around, go into the bathroom and get it. So that I would say is number 2, separate yourself from your phone while you're sleeping. What that also means is if you're going to put that phone on the charger in the other room, you're going to get in bed. What that means is we also don't want to lay in bed scrolling through our phones. So this brings me to number 3. So number 1, get that to-do list, get your priorities for tomorrow straight. Number 2, we want to sleep with that phone in a different room. Number 3, part of that is we plug that phone in, we get in the bed, and we're not scrolling through whatever we're scrolling through. Because the third thing is asking ourselves, would you wake up early to do what you're staying up late to do? So think about it. What are those things that you're doing? If you're planning to go to sleep for 10 and, oh my gosh, it's midnight, I'm just now going to sleep. What were you doing in those 2 hours? And is it so important that you would actually wake up 2 hours earlier to do it? And if so, then yeah, maybe it makes sense to do it at night. But more often than not, almost always, the answer is no. Because we're mindlessly scrolling through social media. We might be browsing, shopping, whatever on the internet, or we got caught in some rabbit hole of something online. There's so many things that we're kind of doing people play different games on their phones. There's just so many distractions that we're doing at night. We're flipping through channels on TV. We're not even really watching anything engaging. We're just kind of like numbing out. What's happening in that window at night? What are we staying up late to do? And would we wake up that much earlier? So if we're staying up 2 hours later than we planned, would we actually wake up 2 hours early to scroll through social like that? And the answer is probably not. So by sleeping with our phones in that other space, it immediately separates us from all of that stuff that we can so quickly waste so much time before we're actually closing our eyes and going to sleep. Not to mention the stimulating effects of scrolling through whatever it is online, scrolling through social, whatever it is that we're doing, TV, all of these things that are centered on electronics have this very stimulating effect, making it even harder for us to fall asleep, interfering with that quality sleep. So those are the 3 things that I would look at. So what's our priorities for tomorrow? We start to clear out our heads from today. We're clearing out that brain space from today. We already have that game plan for tomorrow. So as we're sleeping, our brains aren't trying to already process that. We're already giving ourselves that leg up by streamlining what's in our minds. Number 2, separate ourselves from that phone. If you think, yeah, Molly, I'm hearing you, but I don't think I'm ready for that, do it. Just do it for like 3 nights. It doesn't have to be forever. Do it for 3 nights and see how you feel about it. I think I'll be shocked if you don't find that it's a game changer for how you're handling it. And then number 3, asking yourself if you would wake up just as early to do what you're staying up late to do. So those are the things that are going to help us start to really unwind. Now, then when we look at, well, what does that evening routine mean to, minimize our anxiety, increase our restful sleep? There's so much. And that sleep podcast that we talked about with Dr. Erin Hanlon, we have a lot of very specific strategies on getting better sleep. So I won't get into that a lot right now. I wanted to really just focus more on what are these rituals that we can start right now? That to-do list, phone in the other room, and then what are we doing tonight that's wasting our time or draining our time? Would we wake up early? If you cannot answer yes to that question, then we really need to assess what we're doing at night. Those things that we just said can easily get us back. It could be an extra 2 hours, 3 hours at night that we're doing very non-productive things with that time. So those things are helping our brains to unwind. They're helping our bodies to unwind. They're setting us up for better sleep, less restless sleep, deeper sleep. So those are 3 kind of key rituals that we can add in. And they're very, very, very simple. They do not take a lot of time, but they can have a huge impact. I'd like to take a bit to share about Nutrafol, sponsor for this week's podcast episode. Nutrafol is designed to support the growth of thicker, fuller, healthier hair from the inside out. So you've heard me say it before when it comes to skin, hair care, and basically whole body care. I'm a huge rules follower and very consistent. So when I learned about Nutrafol, I reached out to my dermatologist to get her feedback on it. She said, yes, not only does she recommend it to her patients, she also uses it herself. Nutrafol is a physician-formulated nutritional supplement made with potent botanicals. So in addition to things that we can already do, like backing off of damaging styling tools and heat and chemicals, supplementing with Nutrafol helps to support healthier hair from within. So you can grow thicker, stronger hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and using promo code FUELED to get 20% off. This is their best offer anywhere, plus free shipping on every order. Get 20% off at Nutrafol.com, promo code FUELED. Their best offer anywhere. That's 20% off at Nutrafol.com. That's spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FUELED for hair as strong as you are. From a nutritional perspective, a few things that I would encourage you to consider and adjust if needed. One is limiting sugar at night. So if I have so many clients that have told me if they eat a lot of sugar at night, sugary carbs, in whatever form it is, they wake up feeling exhausted. And a lot of times you can see it. You can see the circles under their eyes. You can see the puffiness, the inflammation. And we wake up feeling almost like that sugar hangover. So I would really, really, really limit the sugars and the white carbs at night, because what we're putting in our bodies at night it's going to impact how we feel when we wake up. Sugars is one thing, alcohol is another. So during our Alcohol Free for 40 challenge, which is Lent, some of the biggest feedback that I get from people is even if they were the types to only drink 1 glass or maybe 2 glasses of wine, when they cut that out during the Alcohol Free for 40 challenge, they woke up feeling so much more energized and much more clarity. They didn't have such a brain fog. Even if it was just an average of 1 glass of wine a night, it left them feeling a little bit foggy in the morning. So it might be something that you think about, okay, I'm going to limit alcohol during the week so that, that Monday through Friday, I'm waking up feeling as optimal as possible. But rethinking that, now if you say, oh, but that glass of wine or the 2 or 3 glasses helps me sleep, it's not. I'll link to our Science of Alcohol podcast as well, y'all. But the alcohol can help us to fall asleep. It makes us feel sleepy, makes it easier to fall asleep, but it actually 100% interferes with the quality of our sleep, the quality of deep sleep. So a few things that we can do nutritionally, in addition to these other rituals that we're talking about adding at night, is be mindful of our sugar, be mindful of our alcohol intake. If we do want to have something that is a nighttime snack, I really like finding a way. Is there a way that we can like squeeze in some protein? So something like a collagen smoothie is a very easy way that we can add collagen-rich protein without a lot of carbs. So there's a bunch of different brands of collagen. Orgain is a fantastic one, but there's a bunch of different brands of collagen that you can add a scoop or two of that, unsweetened almond milk, and you could use like an unsweetened chocolate almond milk, and then add a little bit of ice, blend it up. It's almost no carbs. It's just pure protein, but it can be maybe that sweet kind of a sweet smoothie drink that you're having. During the cold weather, you could also heat up that unsweetened chocolate almond milk and stir that collagen into it and make it a little bit more of a hot beverage. I'll say I prefer having it in the blended way, but you can definitely do it a hot version of that. If there's a sweet treat that you love, like we do these, they're basically salted dark chocolate peanut butter cups, but we do them with Swerve instead of sugar and almond butter instead. And so that's something that I just keep these little sweet treats in the fridge. They're 0 sugar. They're made with all plant-based fats. They're coconut oil, cacao butter, and then the almond butter. And so having just one of those at night, it's about 100 calories of it. It gives that sweet, experience, but with no white carbs, with no sugar. And it's really just those plant-based fats and not a whole lot of it. But so finding something that you can incorporate at night if you are kind of one of those nighttime snackers that's either giving you that sweet treat that you're making a variation of it that doesn't have any sugar, or something that's protein. Again, I love something like that collagen smoothie. So before we get to the morning, the 3 things that I would ask you to try doing at night is number 1, refresh that to-do list, get your game plan and your priorities for tomorrow. Number 2, phone in a different room. Number 3, ask yourself if you would wake up early to do what you're staying up late to do. Then being mindful of alcohol, sugar, and then finding these things that are replacement snacks if needed at night and replacement drinks at night. So those are just some really quick ways that I would say we're going to set ourselves up for success for the morning. I'd like to take a minute to talk about one of our sponsors for this week's episode, Headspace. Perfect timing for this, because right now we know that, okay, even under normal circumstances, life can feel really stressful, but 2020 has challenged even the strongest of us. So we need stress relief that goes beyond quick fixes, and that's where Headspace can help. So it's your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditation in an easy to use app. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever the situation, Headspace really can help you. So if you're overwhelmed, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation for you. If you need help falling asleep, like what we've been talking about in this week's episode, Headspace has wind down sessions that the members swear by. And for parents, there's even morning meditations that you can do with your kids. Again, perfect for the topics that we're talking about in this week's episode. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can help reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and improve your overall sense of well-being. I love that Headspace really allows us to tailor what our priorities are, what our goals are right then, and helps to guide us with an experience to suit our needs. So we all deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. So go to headspace.com/fueled. That's headspace.com/fueled for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/fueled today. So when we look at our mornings and we say, okay, well, what are these 3 rituals that we can add to our morning routine? The first thing I would say is when we wake up, a key priority that I keep in mind when I wake up, this phrase goes through my mind: create before we consume. So what do we mean by that? Create before we consume. Whatever it is that I have that is a creative thing that I want to do. It's an article I want to write. It's a podcast idea that I want to flesh out. I want to start thinking through what these ideas are when I'm fresh, when I don't have a lot of things kind of pinging me from the outside. But here's what often happens. We wake up, and especially if we haven't been sleeping with our phones in the other room, we wake up, our alarm goes off on our phone, we turn it off, we're laying in bed, we've got our phone in our hand. What do? We look at social media, we look at the news, we look at emails, we look at text messages. We start to immediately consume information from other organizations, news, social, other people, before we're even letting our minds get into that creative mode. So if we think create before we consume, that means get up, do what we think, what was on that list from last night that's a priority for today. If that's something that is in that creative mindset that can really be effective in those quiet hours of the morning, if it is quiet hours of the morning for you, that's going to be perfect. Let's use that time for those types of priorities versus laying in bed, looking at emails or social or whatever it is. Our Eat Fit NOLA dietitian, Maria Sylvester Terry, she's been on this podcast. She's been here for an interview before for social and kind of how to make the most of social media. But she had a reel recently on her Instagram that was hilarious. It was like, here's 5 things not to eat for breakfast. And she then it's her waking up in bed and going straight to her social, going to her emails, scrolling through the comment section. And she's absolutely right. These are things that we're basically consuming as our breakfast first thing in the morning. So the number one thing that I would say about our mornings is keep in mind, create before we consume. Now you may say, but I'm not writing an article or I'm not planning, something that's very, very creative. Well, what else is it? It's establishing our mindset. It's establishing how we're feeling when we wake up. How do we feel inside before we think, how do I feel after reading that or seeing that? It's not determined by what we read or what we see. How we feel when we wake up, it's tuning into that before we are affected by the outside content that we are consuming. So you may say, well, I'm not really using that time to write or create or work on a big project. And often I don't use it for that as either. But that create before we consume, it might be some very mindful reading, reading a few passages from a favorite book or some inspirational quotes that you've kind of tucked away to the side. I'd like to take a minute to talk about Cove, one of our sponsors for this week's episode. So no 2 migraines are alike. And if you deal with migraines, you know. And that is why Cove helps you to find an FDA-approved treatment that works for your migraine. Cove helps you to get the migraine relief that you need, and it's all online. Go to withcove.com, complete a quick online consultation, and a licensed doctor will recommend a treatment plan customized to your migraine, and your prescription will be delivered to your door for as little as $10 per month. So just a few minutes of your time and you get a personalized treatment plan from 20 plus research-backed doctor-recommended migraine medications. And you don't have to worry about running out because Cove sends your migraine meds every month. No insurance needed, no trip to the pharmacy. It's all online. Meds are sent right to your door. So with Cove, you can have more migraine-free days. So go to withcove.com/fueled for 50% off your first month of medication and free 2-day shipping. That's 50% off your first month of medication and free 2-day shipping at withcove.com/fueled. That's spelled withcove.com/fueled. My dad has started his day the same way for decades. He has a series of things he reads through the morning that he finds inspiring, including it's by now it's this tattered paper, but it basically is mindfulness. It's setting his intentions for the day. It's helping him to prioritize what his outlook is for the day. And he wakes up and this is, one of the first things that he does as part of his morning. So it might be mindful reading. It might be movement. Whatever it is that you're choosing to, if reading is how you want to start your day, remember that you're choosing to consume this. What are you consuming? So making sure that if you are reading something like this that my dad reads daily, that it is kind of bringing you to this point of mindfulness, of connection. It's helping to ground you. It's helping to bring you to this space of peace and contentment and a positive outlook that you're looking to start your day with. So if we're not going to create before we consume, if we want to wake up and read something that's positive, that's a brilliant plan. But making sure that if we are consuming early in the morning, that we're being very specific, very intentional about what this is that we're consuming. So creating before we consume, or if we're consuming by this mindful reading, being very specific about what this is. Number 2 for our mornings is movement. And I would ask that everybody listening to this incorporates this, because you can. It literally can be 90 seconds is all we really would need. It can also be a full-on workout. It could be a walk in your neighborhood, a jog. It could be going to the gym. It could be working with a trainer, a boot camp. It can be that full force workout, early in the morning. And that is incredible. But it can also be yoga. It can also be just stretching. It can be taking just a couple of minutes. That's why I said even just like 90 seconds, stretching with some deep breaths in there, some sort of movement that is going to help us tune into our body, tune into how we're feeling. So whether it's strenuous, whether it's super challenging, whether it's incredibly relaxing, whether it's helping you focus like yoga or stretching, all of this, whatever that movement is, it's helping us to, again, start our day with mindfulness, start our day with tuning into our body. The third thing that I would say is, if at all possible, get a little bit of dose of outside time. If outside time isn't possible, some level of nature. So if it's cold, which right now it's cold, even here in New Orleans, I think we all think it's freezing whenever it's in the 50s. But if it's cold, bundle. If you're going for that outside walk, there's so much that you can see on a walk that can really just be a really bright way to start your day. But depending on where you live, going outside may or may not be an option, depending on the time of year, depending on what else is going on. It could be as simple as having, potted plants in your house, or a little herb garden on your by your kitchen windowsill. It could be fresh flowers. If you're like, okay, that's not my thing at all, okay. It could even be things that are the sounds of outside, that you're playing that while you're doing your stretching. But some level of nature that is connecting us, if not physically being outside and experiencing nature, something that is going to bring the sight, the sound, the feel of nature into our morning. There's been so many studies over and over and over that showing us that this regular dose of nature, this outside time, truly has a healing effect on us. So we're seeing more and more, especially during quarantine. I think we all realize that, wow, being outside, it is incredibly healing for our bodies, our minds, our spirits. So that regular dose of outdoor time truly can help to reduce stress. So it might also mean that, okay, you're not able to fit it into the morning, but maybe midday, instead of eating lunch at your desk, you can find some little space outside that you can have lunch outdoors. Whatever it is, I would say if it doesn't happen in the morning, you may not have the time. You might be really pressed for time from when you wake up to when you get into work. But at some point in the day, please try to find some time to have some level of nature. The proven benefit that it has on our psyche, on our mind, our body, spirit it's unparalleled. So that number one, when we're waking up, create before we consume, being very mindful of this. Sleeping with our phones in the other room will make it so much easier to be successful at this. We're not waking up with our phones immediately in our palms and being distracted by whatever is the first thing that we're alerted by on our phones. So create before we consume. If we're choosing to consume by listening to something or reading something, being very mindful and very intentional of what that is. Number two, moving. It can be super intense. It can be super relaxing. It can simply be stretching, but getting that movement in the morning is going to be key. And then number three, whatever it looks like for you in your world, where you live, where your home is, what time of year it is, I understand that will impact, and there's a lot of other factors that are going to impact whether or not getting outside in the mornings are truly an option. But if we can't get outside, what part of outdoors can we bring into our homes? And if it's in the morning, I would love that. If it's not in the morning, then at least at some point during the day, let's pause. Let's try to have something that we're experiencing some of that outdoor time. The healing impact of it, again, is incredibly significant. And I think we often, when we wake up, we spend our time indoors, we get in our car, we get to work, we're in the office all day. By the time we're home, especially during the winter, it's already dark. We go back inside. There's a lot of days that maybe we're outside less than 60 seconds. So I would really, really encourage us to try to have more of that connection with nature, even during these, the darker months, the winter months. How can we find a way to do that? Also, when we're talking about mornings, so creating before we consume, getting moving, and then also having some level of connection with nature. When we talk about how we're fueling and how we're revving our bodies, I would also be really mindful of this. How we start our day and what we put into our bodies to start our day is going to set the tone for the full day. Our breakfast choices matter. If you're doing intermittent fasting, that's a whole different deal. But if we are a breakfast eater, our breakfast choices matter. What we choose to eat for breakfast can leave us feeling ravenous all day. It can lead to more cravings through the day, or it can leave us feeling really solid, really steady, really even and level. So I would encourage whatever you're doing for breakfast, make sure that you are including a significant source of protein, and that the fats you're including as much as possible have them be plant-based fats. So we've done also a full podcast on breakfast and incorporating protein at breakfast. So I won't spend a ton of time on that, but I would say whatever your breakfast is, if it's just a bowl of oatmeal or a fruit smoothie or cold cereal with milk, then you're not getting the protein you need. But I would make sure, it could be an egg and some whole grain toast with some coconut oil. It could be a smoothie. We talked about the collagen smoothie for dinner, for a nighttime snack. If you're not doing it as a nighttime snack, maybe that's something you could do as breakfast, and you can add all types of add-ins to up the nutritional density. So a handful of spinach in there. You could add a little bit of ginger. There's so many things that we can add to it, but making sure we get that protein in the morning is key. That protein helps to increase our alertness, our focus. It helps keep us fuller longer, so we have fewer cravings through the day, basically helping us feel more solid and level versus this roller coaster of highs and lows through the day. The other thing I would say is watch our caffeine in the morning. So 2 cups for most people is okay. Once we start to get to 3 or more, that's where we go to the question of what did we do last night? That's leading us to feel like we need 3 or more cups of caffeine just to rev us up. Coffee or tea, I'm fine with both. If it's coffee, I would say, again, try to keep it not more than 2 cups. Coffee, excellent source of antioxidants. Tea, also an excellent source of antioxidants. When we look at how much caffeine for the day, trying not to have more than the equivalent of 3 cups of coffee, which is 300 milligrams of caffeine. Tea is a lot lower caffeine content. It's kind of hard to overdo on tea. But if you also feel like you're having a hard time sleeping, be mindful of when you're having that caffeine through the day. Maybe stop after those first 2 cups, or, try to have it before noon, have your caffeine, whatever that may be. So a couple of things I wanted to just make sure we threw in on nutrition for the mornings. But to recap, at night, please try these things and please let me know what happens when you do. But the first thing I would say at night is, refresh and prioritize tomorrow's to-do list. So we're starting to help our brains clear things out. Number 2, charge your phone in a different room. Number 3, ask yourself, would you wake up early to do what you're staying up late to do? And then in the morning, create before we consume. If we're consuming, then make sure we're being mindful of what we're consuming. Number 2 is movement. Get that movement in. And number 3 is how can we get some level of outdoors or nature integrated into how we're starting our day. So those are very, very, very easy things we can do. They just take a reset in our habits, a reset in our behaviors. So again, we may call these evening and morning rituals, habits, strategies, whatever we want to call them, but they're going to be really basic things that we can do that are going to lay the foundation to help us to reduce that stress, not just through the holiday season, but year round as well. So as you incorporate some of these, let me know. I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing the impact of things that you hear as you put them into practice and you are seeing and feeling the benefits. So as I mentioned, I'll include some of the links to prior podcasts that dive into some of these topics even deeper. I'll include those links in the show notes of this episode. And again, let me know what you think. You can email me, you can message me on social. I always want to hear about the progress that you are making. I am registered dietitian Molly Kimball, and you've been listening to Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, the podcast. If you would like more Fueled Wellness and Nutrition, please head over to mollykimball.com and you can follow me, Molly Kimball RD, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you haven't yet, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next week for another dose of Fueled Wellness and Nutrition. Thanks for listening and stay focused on living your strongest, healthiest life.